Hello again, and welcome back to A Dollar at a Time. I'm Kaori Jinsenji, back with my wonderful co-host, Eric Marquette. Today we're diving into one of my absolute favorite Japanese money habits, kakeibo. Eric, have you ever tried keeping a money journal?
Oh, Kaori, I'll be honest. Paper journals make me a bit nervous. I'm always worried I'll lose it or spill coffee all over my notes. But I can see why people love the process. I mean, it's tangible and there's something intentional about actually writing things down, isn't there?
Very true. And that tangibility is exactly the point. In Japan, kakeibo means household account book, but it's so much more than tracking expenses. When I actually took 2 months to write down absolutely everything, I mean, even my tiny matcha latte splurges at the station, it wasn't just numbers. It made me stop and, notice what brought me joy and what almost felt useless. Suddenly, I found myself saving almost without trying, just because I was more present and deliberate. No guilt, no feeling deprived.
It's fascinating because I think in the West, we focus so much on, cutting back, being strict, almost like punishing yourself for enjoying things. But with kakeibo, it seems to shift the mindset. It's more, am I choosing this with purpose, rather than what do I have to give up?
Exactly. If you're listening, maybe ask yourself, what's the last thing you spent money on that genuinely brought you happiness? And what did you buy just out of habit? That's actually a question I found in a kakeibo prompt, and it always makes me think. When our spending lines up with what makes us feel fulfilled, suddenly saving doesn't feel like a hardship anymore.
It's a sort of money mindfulness, isn't it? Not about hoarding every penny, but about clarity, being clear on your own values. And we talked about this in episode 3, how kakeibo isn't there to shame you. It's about honest reflection and gratitude. Now, building on that, I think it's a perfect segue into this idea of rethinking needs and wants. I recently read about how, in Tokyo, it's not uncommon for families to just, skip the big holiday altogether, or put off buying a new car for years, maybe even decades. It's not that they don't enjoy life, it's that they see those big spends as a threat to their stability.
Oh, absolutely. My cousin's family in Osaka, for example, hasn't taken a long vacation in, maybe 3 years. Instead, they'll do a little weekend picnic in the park, or maybe enjoy a festival right in their neighborhood. It's not about going without. It's about keeping the emergency fund safe and focusing on those tiny, joyful moments. Sometimes, postponing that big purchase is exactly what helps you feel secure.
And the new car thing, I love that. In Tokyo, there's almost this badge of honour in running your car into the ground, just keeping it going as long as you can. It's such a contrast to, and I'm guilty of this too, thinking we all need an upgrade every 3 years. I mean, we talked about the Motonai mindset in episode 5, that idea of appreciating what you have instead of chasing new things. It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is. And I want to ask our listeners, what's one expensive thing you could skip this year? And what's something small that could replace it? For me, honestly, a really nice homemade onigiri picnic feels just as happy as a fancy meal out. Sometimes even better, because there's no stress about the bill afterwards.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. For me, trading a massive trip for a relaxed weekend hike or a good book in the garden sounds, not just cheaper, but actually more restorative half the time. I suppose it's all about seeking comfort in everyday pleasures instead of only rewarding ourselves with expensive experiences.
This brings us into living with less, which is where so many Japanese families find peace and savings. One thing my grandmother did, which I try to carry on, is making these one-pot meals. She'd toss sweet potatoes, a bit of leftover tofu, some seasonal vegetables into a donabe clay pot. The whole family would just gather, eat, talk, no takeout, no fuss. And the meal somehow always felt special.
That sounds amazing, Kaori. I remember when I tried to stick to eating in for a whole month. The kitchen was, well, a disaster at times, but the money I saved was, and this isn't an exaggeration, almost shocking. And it freed up this mental energy too. There's something to be said for simplifying things, not just for your budget, but for peace of mind.
Exactly, Eric. Minimalism is about clearing space, not only in your home, but in your mind. Every item or activity you let go of is like room for intention. I notice after cleaning out just a few old kitchen gadgets, my cooking becomes more creative. And I realized I don't need as much as I thought to feel comfortable.
Yeah, and it goes hand in hand with eating in, right? You're not just saving cash, you're avoiding that stressful, what should I order? How much is too much? Spiral. And it can be a social thing too, inviting a friend over for a simple meal. I think we underestimate the value of that kind of simplicity. I'm curious, has eating in and decluttering made you feel more, I don't know, peaceful?
Completely. And I'd love our listeners to think about this. How does cutting back on dining out, on things you don't need, change the way you feel about saving? And does it maybe even make you a little happier? It's not about deprivation. It's about freeing up space for joy and security.
That's a great way to wrap it up. So whether you start with Kakeibo, rethink your big spends, or just make one more meal at home, those little changes add up. We'll dig into more practical habits in upcoming episodes. Kaori, as always, such a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Eric, and thank you everyone for joining us. Remember, peace and prosperity, one mindful dollar at a time. See you next episode.
Bye all, take care.